Welcome to our garden here in Monroe, Ohio. This weekend is the 4th birthday of our garden. 4 years ago, we started with 3 galvanized buckets. We had peppers, strawberries, cucumbers, tomatoes, and some marigolds in some galvanized buckets. And by the end of that first year, we had built this raised bed, which now only houses the strawberries. And by the end of the season, we had built all 6 beds. The following spring, we built this perimeter pollinator garden, which we'll walk through in a moment. And now, as you can see, we have chickens. Come on, sweetheart. Come on, Dolores. Say hi. These girls are a year old, and then we have some pullets that are just a couple of weeks old who are hiding. And we have mason bees, and we raise monarch caterpillars into butterflies every year. Here are our pullets. Let's see if we can zoom in there. So, just a quick walkthrough. We have some here in the pollinator garden. We try to have as much native plants as we can, but we do have some non-native plants. This is David's phlox, which is non-native. This is butterfly weed, a volunteer, some David's phlox. These bushy things right here are black-eyed Susans, which are native. This is swamp milkweed. I believe this one is red and this one is white. Monarch larvae only eat milkweed. The butterflies will feed off of lots of flowers, but the larvae only eat milkweed, so it is the decimation of milkweed populations that's causing a severe decline in monarch butterflies. More black-eyed Susan. This is bee balm, also known as Monarda. This is native. This is a stilbee, not native, not blooming yet. We've had kind of a cool spring, so these are about 2 or 3 weeks behind the 8 ball, but these get spikes of fuzzy pink flowers, which are very cool. Black-eyed Susan and more stilbee, more bee balm, milkweed, more milkweed. This is the shelter that we have for the little girls with food and water, and a little girl, 2 little girls. Hi, ladies. This is Walker's Low Catmint and bellflower, which is a big hit with the pollinators, bees and whatnot. There's somebody using our chicken walkway. And if we zoom out a little bit, this is the chicken coop and run. And we bought this red part, this red structure. We bought this because we were in a hurry. It's very lovely. You can see some electrical boxes. We have a solar panel that operates the decorative lights that are around the roof line, and very shortly we will be installing a 12-volt fan inside the coop. Gets very hot inside the coop, but we've made a screen door, so on days like today we can leave the screen door open. There's lots of ventilation inside the coop. There's a window here and 2 little playhouse windows here, but it still gets pretty stuffy. There are vents in the soffits as well, but it still gets pretty stuffy in there, so we figure a 12-volt fan like you would have for a camper will run off of the solar and hopefully keep some circulation going inside the coop. These are the nesting boxes, which when you look at from the outside, ta-da! Only 5 of our 7 girls are laying. The other girls are much too young, but they should start laying around September. So we bought this red part and then we built the rest. We have some decoration. Here are some native solitary bee housing. So I think in June we will start seeing some leafcutter bees nesting in here. These tubes are a little bit small for mason bees. These sacks that you see hanging here, this is a shade that I made. These will unnest and fall all the way to the floor, which will provide shade when it gets too hot and sunny. Right now this isn't too bad. Hey, what you doing? What you doing? Photobomb. We've worked with different styles of feeder, and we ended up making these. This is just at a PVC pipe, but they're very tall. I'll swing around in a second, we can see. We also had some struggles with water. We tried to have a 5-gallon bucket on the other side of the run that just kind of fed into some nipple drinkers on the inside, but they leaked and they froze in winter, and so I like these flat buckets. They kind of nest inside these little cubbies very nicely. In the winter we take these down and we have a metal waterer that we put on top of a heated platform, a commercial product that keeps the water from freezing in the winter. So that solves all that problem. So these tubes hold quite a bit of food, certainly a week's worth. And then right now we have chick feed or grower feed in here because we hope to integrate the pullets soon, and they cannot eat adult food. It has too much protein. It will damage their, it has too much calcium. It will damage their kidneys. So everybody gets to eat the grower feed, but the hens need to have access to extra calcium. So this is oyster shell, and they can free feed from that as much or as little as they feel that they need. So that seems to work out nicely. They're pretty smart birds. They kind of know what they want. Inside the run, you'll notice that there's a pole so that when you're inside you don't get locked in. Anyway, we have some perching bars for them, which kind of keeps them happy in the wintertime when they're restricted in here. We are chowing down, which is good. And you can see the front of these waterers have these little nipple cups, which is great. Seems to work out great. Everybody, it's okay, understands what's going on. This is pretty tall. I can stand up comfortably. It's about 6 feet up at the apex. And again, we built this. We built this chicken tunnel because previously I was carrying the ladies out to the garden every day, and Herb was carrying them in every night. Now they can go back and forth as they see fit, which is great because during the... It's okay. It's okay. During the day when it gets hot, they can come in here for shade. We have another, on the outside, we have a rolled up sailcloth that will provide shade in the afternoon. And then, because we're super high tech, we have a sensor here, and we also have one, it got blurry. There we go. Here, and there's also one inside the coop with the monitor. Okay. People don't know their scripts. With a monitor inside the house so we can tell at any time what the temperature and humidity is in their environment, which was really crucial in the winter. We had some really cold nights this past winter. I was very concerned. Anyway, so back out here to the pollinator garden. Here is some penstemon. This penstemon is, here we're going to start walking across. Come on, ladies. Doo-doo-doo. You know, she's like, hey, where'd everybody go? Oh no, they left me. They are definitely herd animals. And then Gladys here doesn't realize that everybody's gone. She's too busy eating. Anyway, so we have penstemon. We have, this is Munstead lavender. This is the third year. I think the penstemon is also about 3 years old. This lavender is about 3 years old. This is echinacea. And the chickens are all going to start coming over because when I walk around the perimeter like this, I'm usually weeding, and then they throw the weeds into them and they get very excited. So they're gonna help us with the rest of the tour. Speedwell, yarrow. Yarrow is good. Aside from having medicinal properties, it is a nutrient accumulator, so you can cut that down and use it for mulch, and it will put magnesium and other nutrients back into the soil. More speedwell, and this is also yarrow. This gets kind of orangey pink flowers on them, which are really pretty. We have some chives and some French lavender. So when you buy things in the store, lavender soap, lavender hand lotion and whatnot, lavender sachets, it's usually French lavender because it's extremely pungent. This is my favorite thing to watch. The ladies will jump to try and peck at the yarrow there. Anyway, we have some little whirligigs, which I love having. There's virtually no air movement today. This one's a birthday present from my good friend Colette, and the others we bought at a store over in Waynesville. I think we have some Olympic jumping going on. There we go. Get it. There you go. Tick seed, which is native. Chives are the stringy things, not native, but they're great for pollinators. More tick seed, some dianthus here. This is a lime tree, which is now turning into a bush. We had it in the house, and we had some overwatering problems with it, but this is about 2 years old now, and has really bushed out this year, so I'm very happy. There are quite a few buds on it, so we should get some decent crop out of this. This is blue hyssop. Pincushion flower, really popular with the pollinators. These tall things are goldenrod. They will bloom later in the season when many other flowers are not blooming, so again, very important for the pollinators. Here's some rosemary. I have it in a pot so I can bring it in the winter. Okay, and we have our little gate with a new decoration that we hung up today. And let's go inside. When we go inside the garden, we'll see that it is divided. We tried to integrate the young chickens with the existing flock, and it did not go very well. So right now we have the, back up. We have the garden divided so that the pullets can be on one side. Come on, ladies. And the big girls can be on this side. Chick, chick. So just this weekend, we finished putting soaker hose in each one of the beds, so we don't have to drag out the sprinkler, which is kind of wasteful. So soaker hose, much more efficient. I did not stop and focus in on, but we have a plaque in the perimeter garden that shows that we are a certified natural wildlife habitat, and you have to do certain things. You have to engage in soil conservation, water conservation, provide certain habitats for wildlife and food and water sources, areas for breeding, and we do all of that. And the soaker hose is part of the water conservation. So in this bed here we have, this is all, well, not all herbs, it's herbs and some tomatoes. So we have some lemon balm, some lemon verbena, some oregano, some dill, and fennel. And then there are tomatoes in the back, whose variety I don't remember at the moment. This is and has been our tomato and basil bed for several years, so we have several varieties of, let me zoom out here, several varieties of tomatoes, which are still, the plants are still very young, but they will most assuredly fill up these cages. And we have almost always had basil in with tomatoes. Tomatoes and basil like each other. They are companion plants. They will kind of help keep pests off of each other. And then theoretically, it's been said that basil will make the tomato sweeter. I don't know if that's true or not, but Over here are our strawberry plants. These strawberry plants are all derived from the original 4 plants that we had in 2015. Tomato plants will send out runners, like here's a good example, that little stalk there, that will be a runner, and there will be a daughter plant on the end of that. If you're trying to grow a lot of strawberries, you want to pinch back those runners because the plant spends a lot of time making runners instead of making fruit. But last fall, here's a good runner. And we got chicken jumping. I let the ladies into the garden so that they could turn the beds over, and they kind of wiped out my strawberries. So this is why all of these beds now have this poultry netting around them so that I will have vegetables and the ladies will not. Case in point, we had some peppers in this bed that we planted just a few weeks ago. And one day they got into the fence and deforested all of the plants, which fortunately are re-leafing and in this case have some flowers on them. So I'm very happy. Although I think this guy and this guy might be toast, so that's okay. I don't remember all of the variety of peppers, but there are heirloom peppers from Funky's Greenhouse here in Cincinnati. Some of them are super hots, so we'll see how that goes. The super hots tend to be really nice to, say, like put in salsa or something in reasonable amounts. Even though they have a lot of heat, they very often have a good fruity flavor as well. Chicks! Over here we've got some lettuce. Herb wanted to grow lettuce. Lettuce is a pain in the neck. It really needs a lot of water. It gets slugs, which is why we have it in a pot off of the ground. And as you can see, he who requested lettuce is not eating the lettuce. So that's another conversation. We have lots of cucumbers here, several varieties of cucumbers, straight eights. We have some lemon cucumbers, which look like tiny little lemons, but they're cucumbers. These are some beets. This is a volunteer. We shall know what that is later on. I suspect it may be some kind of squash or pumpkin, because that's what was in this bed last year. And I'm kind of excited to have the chickens in here. Not only does it give them a lot of room to move around, but they keep it free of bugs. And as you can see, any and all weeds, there are no weeds in the walkways. We used to have to weed these walkways frequently last year. Now there is nothing green growing in the walkways. Hi, Henny Penny. So here's the other side of our divider. We'll go over here and get in. We built a gate over here. Yes, Dolores? I don't have anything for you. So we just unhook, pull this out of the ground, make sure there are no chickens, stick it back in, ta-da! And now we are in East Berlin. So in the sixth and final bed, we have some corn. We have 2 varieties of corn growing. We have blue jade and peaches and cream corn. Never grown corn before. I don't have a lot of expectation. Just something to do. And then these are, I believe, they're squash. I'm pretty sure we got spaghetti squash. Herb likes spaghetti squash. But there's a lot more room in this bed, so we may go back down to Funky's and buy some other vegetables. We haven't decided what. Again, here's the little shelter for Magneta and Gretchen, or Gertrude, sorry. I named her and I got the name wrong. This way they can have shade. If it gets really sunny, the big girls can of course go into their tunnel and back into their run. Ladies, that's Henny Penny coming toward us. Let's see if we can sneak up on the girls here. Hi, ladies. Hi. So this is Magneta and Gertrude. They are black sex-link, which means they are hybrids, the crosses between Rhode Island Reds, which is what Foghorn Leghorn is, and Barred Rocks. So they are 10 weeks old. They will probably start laying eggs at like 26 weeks, so they got a ways to go. But they will, I think, be pretty good size. I mean, they're pretty big now compared to the Golden Comets. We will probably start letting them have supervised visits again, maybe next weekend. We let them out last weekend and it kind of went badly, so we'll give it a little more time, let them get a little bit bigger. Anyway, that's our little homesteading operation that we have going on. Makes us very happy. I have some little patriotic decoration. What's going on, girls? They would like to be let out in the yard, but that's not allowed. Anyway, from all of us, thanks very much for visiting, and until next time.